Hey guys, I'm making this video to tell you how to determine how much you should pay for a parts bike. I have a little bit of a cold right now, so I'm a little bit snuffy, but I'm going to make this video anyways. And basically the reason it's important to know how to determine the price of a parts bike is that a lot of bikes you're going to look at, especially if you're looking on the cheaper end of bikes, 80s, or 80s, 70s, 90s, you know, just older bikes. The ones that you get are usually 80s bikes, and they almost all have issues. You can get ones that are running and driving, but a lot of times I still think they fall under the parts category just because it's not a bike you can just jump on and ride. It needs work. But I think it's good to know how to determine the price because a lot of times you'll need parts for your bike and you'll want to buy a parts bike or you want to repair a bike. And it's not like with cars. I mean, there's a blue book for bikes. You can look up the blue book, but I don't find it accurate personally on motorcycles, especially 80s motorcycles. And so I kind of came up with my own system. Last 2 to 3 months, I've bought about 12 bikes, and I haven't bought a dud yet. And the way I kind of got into this was I bought an XS400, an 82 Yamaha, and I repaired that, you know, for my own personal bike. And then I bought another bike because I really enjoy working on them. So I bought an 85 XV1000 Virago, and it had engine problems. And if anyone knows, if you work on bikes, it's not problem A. If it's not A, it's C. If it's not C, it's E. And sometimes you get so wrapped up in it that you just want to murder the bike. And at a certain point, you need to count your losses, and with parts bikes, that's going to be the way it goes a lot. That's just plain and simple the way it goes. So if you can determine the value, then if you can't repair the bike, you have a worst case scenario where you should still make money, which means you part the bike out. The way I do that, the way I determine the value is I look at 3 things. This is how I determine how much I pay for a bike. I look at what the carbs sell for. I look at what the CDI box sells for, or whatever the spark igniter is, what that sells for. And then I look at what the gauges sell for. Those are the big 3 things I look at. The reason I chose those is that carbs will always sell. Carbs are the most valuable part, usually, on these older bikes. A complete set of carbs will bring you almost always at least $100 on eBay. A really nice set, I've sold them for $200 to $300. So carbs, they sell fast, they always sell. Gauges, they sell pretty fast. They're a higher value item. A lot of times if they're in good condition, you'll get $150. And the CDI box, strange enough, on some of these old bikes, they go for $200 to $300. And it's one of those parts where if it breaks, you can't repair a CDI box. You open it up and it's just got like basically a little circuit board, like solders all over it. You can't repair it yourself. So if it goes out on these old bikes, usually there's only a handful on eBay of the CDI boxes, so you kind of set your own price. It's not out of the question to get $200 to $300 for a CDI box. So the way I determine the price I should pay, one moment. All right, I go on eBay. Here, I'll show you now. And I have this all pulled up. But huge, important part of searching is, number 1, the year. 1985. You can do 85 also. They pretty much come out the same. I've done this about 1,000 times, so I can tell you the best way to search. Model number like XV1000. This is for the 85 Virago. Don't type in Yamaha Virago XV1000. Just type in XV1000 and then type in carbs. Then what you want to do is scroll down. Make sure you're doing this on a computer because you can't always do it on your phone. I've seen click sold right here. You want to see what they sold for, not what people are asking for them. And then a lot of times up here you'll want to click used here. That's all there is on this one right now showing up, so you don't have to. But on for some reason on Hondas a lot of times you'll have to click used, otherwise you'll get like 1,000 results from newer parts that you don't want to look at. So here, these are the ones that come up. These ones, a set sold for $105, $81, $113. So I would estimate I could get $100 for the carbs, and I didn't look at the condition yet. What you'll want to do is click on each set. Like, I assume these ones, since they sold for $100, what people usually put in their listing is they may need to be rebuilt, and they'll probably need to be cleaned. That's just the way you list carbs, because you can never guarantee that they're going to run perfect off a parts bike. You'll want to check the shutters and you'll want to check the slides, but that's all you can really do unless you go in depth. So yeah, look up the value of those next. So we got $100 so far. Next, type in CDI. I just type in CDI, I don't do box or anything. Look at that, $270 for a CDI box. $100, $49, and the person, these two sold for less because they were auctions. You should always sell by it now, but I would say if it was me, I think I could get $150 within 2 months. So 100 plus 150, we're at 250. Now gauges. And of course you'll have to adjust your number on gauges when you get there if the gauges are all basically crappy. These ones have the dummy box right here, which, because I've taken these off, and the dummy box alone I know I sold for 40, and then the actual gauges themselves, if you list them the right way, I would say you could get on this bike probably $75. These people listed them kind of poorly. So let's say 150, 100, and then 75. So 250 plus 75, you're at $325. Is a pretty good starting price. Now at that price, so $325, that's the maximum I'll pay. And the reason I chose those three items is that they sell fast. Those are sellers. Like I said, carbs sell, gauges sell, and the CDI box is an expensive part. So that's why I chose those. But the other reason is, say you get into it and you start working on the bike and you're like, oh, I can't repair it. You sell those and you get roughly, you know, because you're going to pay 15% in fees, and you probably spent some money on gas to pick up the bike. You're going to get about 80% of your investment back if you have to part it out, and that's going to be within a month or two. A lot of times I can do it in a week. Excuse me. So get your investment back that way, and then comes the part where you just make the profit if you have to part it out, which is every other part on the bike that you didn't already take into account. And you know, because I've done this on a Virago and I still have some of the parts for sale, but I can tell you offhand, the starter engaging gears on the Virago, those sold for $120. Those are constantly going out on the Viragos. So you of course have to check them and make sure they're good. But there's that. You have starters, you have crash guards, you have ignition coils, pickup coils, tanks, seats, turn signals, forks. You know, and not all of these are going to be good. So when you start looking at the parts, you can determine if you can sell them or not. But that's all, you know, profit. So you take, say you spend your maximum $325 on your bike, and you try to repair it, and it's just not going to be possible. It's not feasible. You're going to have too much money into it, and you can't sell it for more than you bought it for, and you have to part it out. Then you have you'll still make money. So you can try to repair a bike, and if everything goes wrong, you still make money. That's why I chose those things to evaluate. But at the same time, just because I value it at $325 in that way, if it's like someone tried to make it into a bobber and they did a poor job and it's not original and it's missing things, I mean, I'll adjust it based on that. Sometimes I'll still try to get it for $100 or $150, but that's basically what I do to determine the price. And then here, show you some of my, I don't want to show you too much information about my personal listings, but pull up one thing real quick. So, as you can see right here, I've got 153 active listings, and that doesn't even touch the surface of what I have. I mean, I have probably 1,000 parts I need to list, and last 30 days, $1,803 received. Someone still owes me $130, so about $2,000. I say, like, off my 6 bikes right now that I had to part out. I sell like maybe 1 or 2 parts a day, and the parts range from $50 to $100. So that's about, $2,000 to $3,000 a month. So, and that's off things that these were bikes that I got into them and I just couldn't make money on them unless I parted them out. And it's not as if I don't go into it wanting to part the bikes out unless it's a bike with no engine or something that it's gonna probably have to be parted out. I try to fix them, and most of the time these are bikes that no one else will buy them on Craigslist. No one else will buy them, so they sit on there forever. And sometimes the people want $700 for it, and I don't try to lowball, but those are bikes I'll get for like $200 or $100. So yeah, that's how I determine the price.